Hey Badminton community, it's Henry and Jeff from the Badminton podcast and Volant. Welcome to episode 10 of the Tokyo 2020 show, where we give you the latest news, results, opinions, predictions, polls, and more. So Jeff, we had a pretty exciting day yesterday. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so we did have a medal ceremony yesterday, late last night. We had the men's doubles medal ceremony. It was quite funny because when they were presenting the medals, they just held it out as a tray like this with all the medals on them. And we were just rooting for someone just to take that gold medal that wasn't theirs and hang it around their necks. And they had to hang it around their partner's neck, and then their partner had to hang around their neck. It was a bit of an awkward situation, but it all worked out in the end. But I thought that was a bit funny when I saw it.
Yeah, very awkward self-service selection for the award ceremony. But anyway, talking about yesterday, we had an all-Chinese affair in the women's singles between Chen Yufei and He Bingjiao. We did see Chen Yufei take that in 3 sets, which now brings their head-to-head from 4-2 to 4-3.
So she's got one back, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has got one back, and what a time to do it, right?
At the Olympics. Yeah, I felt that in that third set, she just switched it on. Like Yufei just started increasing the speed. She started making those attacks count a lot more, and Bingjiao just couldn't keep up. And that third set was pretty comfortable once Yufei got that momentum and that speed up.
Yeah, I think that the aggressive play that she should have brought early in the game only came out right at the end, but perhaps that was a physical, limitation. Perhaps if she actually went hard in the first or second set, she might not have, been able to carry that throughout the entire game, because I think she was struggling a little bit from a physical side of things. So I definitely need to watch that going forward for her. Okay,
I disagree, Henry, respectfully. I don't think she was physically tired or anything like that. I think that there was just more. She just didn't do it. But hopefully she wasn't tired, because she does have a final, a gold medal match to play tonight.
Yeah, well, she also had that medical break in between the matches as well. True. So let's see how that plays out in the final, shall we?
Yep.
And we also had PV Sindhu versus Tai Su Ying as well. What did you think of that?
Yeah, look, I felt that Tai Su Ying got into the match a lot quicker than she did against Ratchanok. Maybe for the first half a set or so, she was making quite a few errors, like smash errors, half smash errors, net errors that we don't usually see when she's playing confidently. But she got into it, and she started to kind of twist Sindhu in the 4 corners. So rather than playing around her body, just like deep backhand, really close to the net forehand, and just pushing her around the court. And all of a sudden, these holes started to open up. And when that happened, she got her confidence back. She was able to play her shots, take over the net. And I think it was relatively comfortable after she found that strategy, because we all know Tai Su Ying, right? She's got all of the technique you could possibly want in the entire world. Her footwork, her racket work, her shots, her choice of shots, fitness, everything. Physique, speed, power. But it's just really the confidence and the mental strength, I feel, that is her biggest letdown sometimes. And when that's not switched on, then everything else can't work for her.
Yeah, and we did see that with her game against Ratchanok, and I think for her game against PV Sindhu, it just it took her a little bit less time to find that confidence. So rather than a game and a half, it was really just the first half of the game where, as you said, those simple shots, the unforced errors were quite evident in her play. But once she managed to find confidence in herself, you started to see her just essentially take control of the match and push Sindhu around.
Yeah, and I think another thing with Sindhu when she played against Yamaguchi was she was able to take that net control, but we didn't really see that against Tai Su Ying at all. Maybe she's a bit afraid of Tai Su Ying's variation at net, so she didn't want to give her that chance. But I think that against Yamaguchi, that was a really important part of her game.
Yeah, and I would have liked to see Sindhu do more of that, especially when Tai Su Ying is feeling less confident early in the game, and then PV Sindhu could build on her confidence, and I think that would have been a lot tougher for Tai Su Ying if that did happen.
Yeah. So now we're looking at the bronze medal match between He Bingjiao versus PV Sindhu. Their head-to-head is 9-6, so Bingjiao is up in that head-to-head, and she did win the last one. Oh, sorry, PV Sindhu won the last one though.
Yep.
But the prior 4 times, Bingjiao won those 4 times previous to that. What are your thoughts on that one?
To be honest, I feel like we said, with PV Sindhu played that similar sort of net sort of captured the net in the way that she did against Yamaguchi the other day, Bingjiao's going to have a lot of trouble. But if she doesn't do that, I'm actually thinking Bingjiao would be able to take it just because she's going to be able to push her around the court a bit more and probably play a similar role to Tai Su Ying yesterday against PV Sindhu. So I'm actually going to go Bingjiao for this one.
Sure. Same. I'm going to go Bingjiao. I think that she's looking physically fitter than Sindhu, even though Sindhu's in really good shape, but Bingjiao I think has improved her fitness significantly. And I do think that if she can get into a longer game, then definitely PV Sindhu will struggle. But yeah, if she can take the net in PV Sindhu, can take the net and attack, then that's her best chance. I think the shorter the match goes, the better for PV Sindhu.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. So what about Tai Su Ying, Chen Yufei?
Look, this is a tricky one. I think that Tai Su Ying will be coming off a pretty confident after the last 2 wins against Ratchanok and PV Sindhu. If she can execute from the word go at love all first set, I do think that she'll have the upper hand, and the head-to-head says it all, right? So she's up 15-3 in the head-to-heads. So I'm probably gonna go Tai Su Ying. Yeah, let's leave it there.
Yep. All right, that's fine. I think 15-3 is a pretty big psychological advantage, but if history goes, says anything about this Olympics, is that it doesn't really matter.
It's the opposite way, I think.
That's the thing. I guess what concerns me about Yufei is firstly the medical side of things, that she did take a medical break in her last game, and that I thought that she was struggling a bit physically when she did play, her aggressive style game, which is she's going to need to play Tai Su Ying. So again, it does ride on Tai Su Ying's confidence level. I think most of her games we can see that once her confidence level is high, she has the physical, technical ability to beat her opponents. So I'm actually going to go Tai Su Ying for this one. But yeah, I guess the big call out is how she's going to go, start the game. Is it going to be 1.5 games? Is it going to be half a game? How long will it take her to be confident? Will she be confident from the word go?
Yep, and that, of course, for Chinese Taipei fans is huge, because a second gold medal for them potentially, if she does perform her best.
Yes, especially when Chinese Taipei haven't won a medal in badminton before this year, and they firstly won their first medal, and it's a gold medal with the men's doubles yesterday with Li Yang, Wang Chi-Lin versus the Twin Towers. So that was pretty exciting as well. What did you think?
That was awesome. I think that they did bring that confidence from the Asan Setiawan match the day before, but they didn't bring it at the start. I think they were quite nervous to start. I think it was they were down in the first set, and then they did come back. But once they started to win those flat, fast exchanges with the Chinese, I think that was the turning point. So once they started to find that rhythm, find that kind of service situation where they just literally serve, return third shot, maybe fourth and fifth shot, and that's it. Just outspeed them. Then I think that they gained a lot of confidence there. And then with the Chinese, I don't think that they're used to being challenged in that way in the fast game. They're so used to being faster than everyone. And I don't think they were able to say, okay, we're not going to win this fast game. Let's block it to the sides. Let's find the gaps or go over. They didn't do that. They just, I'm just going to drive harder. If they drive at me, I'll drive harder. And the Taipei pair were just so ready for that, I think China just dug themselves into a hole where they just couldn't get out of, because they just kept trying to challenge in the flat game.
Yeah, they didn't really have any other options, because I guess the flat game is their game.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if I change it to a blocking game, I'm going to lose that as well, because that's not our style. So they were being beaten at their own game, essentially. So Chinese Taipei was pretty much unplayable, similar to the situation last night. Of course, the Chinese were a bit faster than Asan and Setiawan, but once they were able to get their string of points after the mid-game interval in that first set, they were unplayable again. It's just like they're teleporting to the shuttle. It didn't really matter who was hitting the shuttle. It'd be the perfect shot.
And I think Wang Chi-Lin, with that brutal smash of his, he broke, I think, 3 strings in one frame or
racket,
something. Something brutal like that. So let's hear from the gold medalists on their journey as to how they felt after that gold medal victory in the post-game press conference.
刚开始的时候，第一场我们对印度的时候就输掉，其实当时我们其实是蛮崩溃的，因为想说差不多了，那只想着说跟李阳讲说把剩下的比赛好好完成，但没想到可以谷底反弹，然后走到这一步，所以就真的很谢谢大家。
当初我们这组的目标就是希望可以一起站上 奥运这个殿堂，然后并且站上颁奖台。那只是今天很幸运能够在第一次打奥运就可以一起站在就是冠军的颁奖台上面。那
So of course we also had the bronze medal match yesterday with Arancia Sowuyik of Malaysia versus Indonesia's Muhammad Ahsan and Hendra Setiawan. That was tough to watch. That was really hard to watch just because we're so used to seeing the daddies being so in control, so sharp, but after, I think it's after the coming off of that almost annihilation from the Chinese Taipei pair the day before, they just weren't really there.
Yeah, I don't know if confidence was down and then maybe they were fatigued and physically tired as well. But yeah, we're just not used to seeing them just make so many errors. Like when Setiawan was making quite a few errors just at the net, where we would never really see him make those errors at all. So yeah, it was definitely hard to watch. And I think that, the Malaysians brought the game to them. They didn't give them an easy game. They kept the pressure on as they should have, and they did. And they were just able to capture that advantage in them not playing so well. They didn't get dragged down with it. They just rose above it. They played well. And I think they did deserve that bronze medal.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think what we saw from Hendra and Ahsan is just too many errors. And almost at one point it was like Ahsan was carrying Hendra, and that's just not something that we would typically see of the daddies. The daddies are so used to being in control, and Malaysia just didn't really give it to them. So today we have a very special guest for you all. We have former Olympian Simon Archer, who once held the world record for the fastest smash at 162 miles per hour. He was known for his intelligence on court and was so dangerous that people feared him. He competed in both the 1996 and 2000 Olympic Games and won an Olympic bronze medal at the 2000 Olympic Games in mixed doubles with Joanne Good. He's also joining us from Portugal because he's on holidays at the moment. So thanks for joining us, Simon. First of all, tell us about the moment when you won the bronze medal. What was on your mind?
Firstly, good morning and nice to speak to you. The bronze medal. I mean, we were so disappointed from the day before when we failed to make the final. So actually when the bronze medal came around and we had that opportunity, it was such a relief. It was a really tight game against a Danish pair. They had match points against us to win, just like we had match points the day before. So anyone could have won. But I think once we got to setting in that final deciding game, then and we'd stopped their match points, we sort of had a feeling within ourselves, the last 2 or 3 points, that we were going to get across the line. And when we finally did, then all that emotion, all that release just came flooding out. Had family there with me in the stands, which was an amazing feeling. I think one of the big pluses for me was the spectators and audience out there in Sydney was just unbelievable for the British athletes. We were like their second children, really, the Australians. And the whole experience was just amazing. I can't fault the facilities and the place and the venue. And, it was a dream for obviously myself, and I'm sure for Joe as well. What we achieved, and you can see by the results, and certainly by the results this time around, there's been so few Europeans have actually won medals at the Olympics. I think at the time we were only the fourth pair to do it and the first British athletes to do it. So it's really tough to try and get any medal of any colour out there. So yeah, absolutely ecstatic.
Yeah, and I guess that makes it even more special when you are one of those kind of rare pairs or players that can win from Europe. But when you talk about the stand, obviously it's very different in Tokyo, where there are no spectators due to COVID-19. And looking at, say, you talked about losing the semi-final, you had some match points, and then you had to play the next day. We saw that kind of happen in the men's doubles, in all the events, but in the men's doubles, we saw the Indonesian, the daddies, so Hendra Setiawan, Muhammad Ahsan, they lost their semi-final, and then they had to come back the next day to play the bronze medal match and lost that as well. And they didn't look like they were mentally that on top of it or confident. It doesn't happen in any other badminton event where you have to play the next day after losing a semi-final. So how did you manage that loss of the semi and then having to go into the bronze medal match? Like, what did you do in preparation?
I think we just got lucky, to be honest. I really feel for the Indonesians. I think going into the semi-final, we were possibly the favourites, in our half of the draw as well. I think that the main threat for the title, the South Korean pair of Ra and Kim, Kim Dong, they lost in the quarter-final. So, the draw really opened up, and we'd just beaten the Indonesian pair in the Indonesian Open a couple of months prior to that. And they'd been on a 5-year winning streak or something crazy like that out on their home patch, and we'd just beaten them. So we were really confident going into that match. And I think it showed by the scores. We came out of the blocks firing in the semi-final, and we got such a healthy lead that I think with today's scoring system, we wouldn't have lost. There's no way we would have lost. But because of the old scoring system, you had to get a point. You had to be serving to get a point. It was still possible to have these big comebacks. And they did it in the second set. And you got to take your hats off to him, especially to Trickers, because he just decided just to start dominating the court, press forward like he can do. I mean, he's such a skillful athlete. And, he put the pressure on us, and we had match points and lost. And then in the third set, I actually strained my chest muscle as well. So we sort of knew later on in that third set, it wasn't going to be our day. But that was then really tough to take it through to the next day, because I was carrying an injury. Myself and Joe didn't really speak to each other for 24 hours after being up in the match for so long, and then obviously losing the way that we did. So it was all really negative going into the next day. And, I can feel for the Indonesian doubles pair that actually probably going into the match being favourites and losing, it's really tough to bounce back. We managed to do it, and, it was an amazing feeling. I have to take my hats off to Jo. She performed absolutely superb in that playoff match. I wasn't smashing hard for, I think, first hard smash I tried to do was about 12 or 13 in the third set. I was just clipping the shuttle down and trying to keep it steep all the time. But the Danish pair worked this out in the second set, and they got on top of us through the second and third set. We came out of the blocks really well in that first set, but once they worked us out and realised that I couldn't hit hard, then we were really up against it. And Jo played absolutely fantastic that day.
Yeah, well, we know that she did, and so did you. So because you did win that bronze medal, and in terms of, I guess, winning the Olympic medal, what's life like after you actually claim an Olympic medal?
Well, I think it varies. I mean, in the UK, badminton is still a minority sport. So, if maybe I'd have been from one of the other countries, then, we maybe have celebrated in a different fashion. I mean, you only got to look at someone like Kevin Gordon, Guatemala, in the semi-final. If he manages to take a medal, then that'll be unheard of. And, he may be hailed as a champion for the next 50, 100 years, who knows? But in the UK, being a minority sport, life pretty much back to normal. It takes a month or two to sort of get over the high and the buzz that you've just achieved a lifetime goal. But then all of a sudden you realise, actually, I'm still a badminton player. I'm still travelling around the world playing tournaments. I've got to prepare for my next events, and you've just got to get back on that circuit, or, like I say, get back on that horse and just keep on rolling. And it raises your profile in the UK. It certainly raised the profile of badminton in the UK, what me and Jo did. Obviously, 4 years later, Nathan and Gail did one better, and they went and got the silver, which was fantastic as well. So badminton got a bit of a jump and a lift around that period in 2000, 2004, but it has to be followed up year after year. And now, hey, look, I'm just an old man, like many other ex-badminton guys out there, same as everybody else now. But it's an amazing experience, and something that will live with me for the rest of my life.
Absolutely, it is an amazing achievement. Simon, thank you so much for coming on your holiday.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Good to speak.
So let's recap on the matches that just happened just this afternoon. We had the men's singles semi-finals. First one, we had Kevin Cordon, Guatemala,
Good job,
versus Victor Axelsen, Denmark. What did you think about that?
We talked about this yesterday about Victor and how he was so fierce on court when he came to play Shi Yiqi of China, and he was just so dominant. He did nothing wrong, could control the drift, and there was just this fierceness and just edge that we could see him in. But today he just wasn't quite as focused, and I don't think I saw it throughout the entire match, although the score would suggest otherwise.
Yeah, look, yesterday we talked about Victor having a few different things, right? Or two different things. The laser eyes, where it's like piercing, like he's going to kill someone with these eyes of his. I didn't see that today. I wouldn't say that he was scared, but I saw a more tentative look in the eyes for the whole match today. And I found that he wasn't really taking that much initiative. Whether that was a tactic or not, I'm not sure, but he wasn't really taking that initiative like he did against Shi Yiqi, especially in the rear court, going for his rear court shots, changing the pace. He was more just following, feeding, and it did feel a bit more tentative for me. I think that Kevin played well to draw him into that. Of course, Kevin is the underdog again, so he can play freely, and Victor's very, very heavy favorite, right? So maybe that has dawned on him, but that's probably the match that it hasn't made me waver as to think Victor's going to win gold, but it kind of just puts that doubt in my mind. Maybe there is an element of that pressure coming to get him now, but we haven't seen that previously.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in his previous matches, he just didn't have that kind of pressure. And today, it was quite obvious that he was starting to feel something. As to whether or not he'll overcome that in his next match, of course, for the gold medal, is another story, right? So it will be very interesting to see how he performs with the big match.
Yeah. And I think another thing was once he did win that first set, though, we could see a bit more confidence. I'm not saying that he was completely scared. I'm just thinking when he won that first set, then he gets to play against the drift in the second set, a bit easier to control. He can play four corners more. Then he was able to take the net and predict Kevin a little bit towards the front court. And then from there, he was in control of the second set.
He was in control, but definitely playing, even though he did play a little bit more aggressively, still safe when he was playing.
Safer, yeah.
Not aiming, not really going for the lines, but really trying to place it in the court.
Maybe this is a really smart idea, just so that he can be sure. Because if he can play that game for long enough, he will, with the amount of pressure he can put on Kevin, he will eventually win, I think. But maybe that was the tactic.
Yes, possibly.
But look, we did have a lot of support for Kevin in the general badminton community in Australia here. There's so many people just rooting for Kevin because he's a fantastic story to tell, and definitely back home in Guatemala. And there's been lots of videos come in for him. So let's take a quick look at all the support and love he's been receiving back home.
Vamos a seguir zurdo. Vamos con todo. Vos podés. Vamos zurdo. Vamos.
Vamos Guatemala.
Guatemala está con vos.
Felicitaciones.
Vamos Kevin.
Vamos zurdo. Vamos. Vos podés con todo. Arriba Guate.
Guatemala, podemos hacerlo.
Vamos, papá.
Felicitaciones Kevin, vamos con todo.
Vamos Kevin. Tu corazón es grande y todos nuestros corazones están contigo.
Henry, I can't speak Spanish, but all of that sounded like it was really supportive and they were really pumped for him. So he does have a bronze medal match now against Anthony Ginting because he did lose against Chen Long today. Let's go through that first. What did you see in that match against Chen Long?
Chen Long, in the entire Olympics so far, he has been able to control his shots regardless of which side he's on. As far as all the players that we've seen so far in the singles category, he's been able to control the length of his shots so well. And he was in the game against Ginting, he was just able to neutralize any attack that Ginting was throwing towards him. And I think it was so much effort for Ginting to actually gain a point.
Yeah, like Ginting will be going flat out attack, spin net, smash or half smash, but then he was just absorbing it. He just had like a web. It was like a spider web. He's obviously a lot bigger than Ginting, but Ginting was just caught in his web, and he'd just be able to get everything, and it was just kind of moving Ginting around as he pleased. And I think that that form's really scary to see Chen Long playing that good form and that much control. And then I think in the second, he really found his attack, especially that cross-court attack, half smash / smash from the around the head side. He was winning a lot.
Around the head side, to Ginting, Ginting's backhand front
side.
Corner, front corner. It was such a steep attack as well. And I think for Chen Long, that being such a late stage of the tournament, just so composed.
Yeah.
Just didn't seem like he had any pressure. Maybe it was the bananas that he keeps eating every sort of mid-interval.
You're convinced that those bananas contain something in there. That
something great.
Whenever he has that banana in the mid-game interval or between the sets, he just dominates the next set. So.
Yeah. But to be fair, I didn't see him eat a banana today, so maybe he was comfortable. But I know in that second set that his confidence just kept building, and when Ginting was challenging him at the net, he was just playing a net back to him.
Yeah.
So, all right, so in terms of yesterday's quote, we had, if you just listen carefully, I just used all my power, I don't have anything else, I kept smashing. So the options were A, Li Junhui, B, Jia Yifan, C, Wang Chi-Lin, and D, Kong Hee-yong.
We had about 12,000 votes for this, with 66% voting for the correct answer, which was C, Wang Chi-Lin. So well done if you got that correct, but I do think that after his display in the last two matches, he can do a hell of a lot more than just smash.
Yeah.
There's mid-court, front-court, service situation, return. He can do everything. He was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
As long as he's hitting it down. Or even no, he wasn't just hitting it down, right? Just anything
defense.
he was doing, everything. He had the Midas touch. That's exactly what happened. So, in terms of the new poll, speaking of Kevin Cordon earlier, the biggest underdog story in badminton this year from Guatemala. Listeners, where is Guatemala? So you will see a map on screen right now. You have 4 options, A, B, C, and D. Where is Guatemala?
So for our Raise a Racket for this episode number 10, we did want to raise a racket to Wang Chi-Lin, Li Yang for their awesome performances in the semi-finals and the finals of the men's doubles event, winning gold, of course. But we've already raised a racket to them.
Yeah.
So we really do want to share the love, and we want to raise a racket to the bronze medalists. So Aaron Chia, Soibo Yik from Malaysia. You did Malaysia proud, definitely. You played well. You lost to Asan and Setia won in the group stage. You were able to win the bronze medal match. So raise a racket to you. Malaysia boleh!
All right, so just a reminder of when the games start tonight. So tonight we're looking at 8:30 p.m. For the women's singles bronze and gold medal match. That is Tokyo or local time. And then tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. for the women's doubles bronze and gold medal match.
So if you're still struggling to keep up to date with all the latest information, you can check the screen right now. There are 3 URLs that you can use to stay up to date and to see whether your favorite players make it through or not.
So thanks for tuning into the second last episode of the Tokyo 2020 show. We'll see you tomorrow for our last episode.
See you then.